Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Onward Men podcast, a podcast built for men that want to get better, that want to grow, that want to dominate, and are not willing to settle for average, right? The average life, guys. And I'm all about the 5 M's of manhood, which are money, mission, mindset, muscles, and marriage. And I believe, gentlemen, that you got to have all 5 if you want to be considered a high performance man. And today, guys, is something I call Marriage Wednesday, because here's the reality of the situation is over 60% of marriages are going to end in divorce. And me as a leader, you as a leader, I believe the man is the leader in the household. And who's to blame when things go wrong? Well, gentlemen, you always look to the leader, right? The leader is always the one to blame for what is happening in an organization, in a family, or whatever it may be. So I believe that we have a really big responsibility, guys, to step up and lead our marriages. And today, I want to talk about trust killers in your marriage and why the foundation of trust might be very faulty right now. Why you must build a massive foundation of trust in your marriage in anything you do, guys. But oftentimes, with these trust killers, we start breaking down those barriers in our marriage. We start breaking down the trust. And when that happens, guys, things get chaotic, right? Your wife is doing things that you never thought she would do. She's acting like in ways that you never thought she would act. She's got anger. She's got resistance against you that you never thought she would ever have. And it all starts, in my opinion, with trust killers. And I had a guy ask me, hey man, what is one of the things that I can do to have a better relationship with my wife? And guys, number one is, how about just talking to your wife, right? Number one, let's just start there. Put down the phone, put down your sports, stop watching sports, stop worrying about fantasy football, stop looking at the news, stop watching television, stop doing the movies, and sit down and talk. That is probably a good thing to start with, gentlemen. In your marriage is the ability to talk through things, the ability to have conversation and be ruthless, be absolutely ruthless with your ability to build trust in your marriage. And some trust killers, right, that we have as men are, number one, anger. Right? Anger is a big trust killer in the marriage. Are you an angry person? Does your anger come out, gentlemen, at your wife, in your family, in your household? Because anger establishes a foundation of dishonesty and distrust. And when that happens, it starts collapsing. It starts collapsing. Another big one, guys, is just apathy, right? Apathy in your marriage. Are you just that passive aggressive guy that is, when things go down, when things are not right, you stay silent? Like, oh, I'm mad at my wife, but I'm going to show her, man. I'm not going to talk to her. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to sit in my corner. I'm going to act like a little boy, and I'm not going to man up, and I'm not going to talk, and I'm not going to speak. Guys, if that is you, that breaks down the foundation of trust in your marriage, and eventually that will destroy everything good that is in your marriage. You must, as a man, speak up. You must take on issues. Something that I've had to learn as a man, something that I'm still learning as a man, is to take on the issues in my marriage. And I used to kind of be that guy that used to, when things would go wrong in my marriage or we'd have an argument, I would go and be silent and be passive aggressive and try to show her like I'm boss. And dude, all that stuff will break down the walls in your marriage. I promise you, gentlemen. Another one is just silence, right? Are you silent in your marriage? Are you the guy that just doesn't say anything? Are you the guy that just doesn't communicate? Are you the guy that doesn't speak clearly and show your wife exactly what it is that you're going as a family, your family vision as a family unit? Are you staying silent at the dinner table? Are you sparking conversation? Are you silent, guys? Because that breaks down the walls of trust. And as men, we can stay silent. I know this firsthand, guys. I could stay silent all day sometimes. I don't want to talk. I don't want to say anything. But gentlemen, as a leader, you must speak out. You must develop courage enough to be the leader in the marriage and speak up, right? And say, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going down. This is the plan. This is our attack strategy. And it's so important in your marriage. Another trust killer, guys, in your marriage is just lust. As men, of course, we lust after other women. We lust after fame. We lust after fortune. We lust after the big career. We have so many lusts, guys, in our lives that can get out of control. And when that happens, when the lust takes over our life, guess what? That breaks down the barrier of trust in our marriage. And again, you do not want to start stacking these trust killers in your marriage, because eventually, gentlemen, what's going to happen is your foundation is going to crack. And once your foundation of trust cracks in a marriage, it is so hard to get it back. That is when everything starts happening that is not good. Your wife is saying things that you never thought she would say. She's acting in ways that you never thought she would act. And it's all because the foundation of trust in your marriage is broken, gentlemen. And it's so hard to rebuild. So my encouragement today, gentlemen, is to be ruthless. To be ruthless in your attempt to court your wife, to be ruthless in your attempt to eliminate trust killers and to eliminate thoughts and bad action patterns that are destroying your marriage as a man. And I mentioned a few of them on this podcast, guys, but there's a lot of them. And you must be aware of it. You must take this seriously. And I want you to be a high performance man that builds massive trust in your marriage, that talks to your spouse, that opens up the feelings and says, guys, this is where we are going as a household. And you got to man up and you got to lead. All right, gentlemen, I hope that this podcast helps you today. And of course, if this podcast does help you, then share it with other men. Let other men know about the Onward Men movement, because one man at a time, gentlemen, we are going to change the landscape of this world. That is our vision and that is our mission with Onward Men. All right, guys. And of course, if you can always find me at Onward Men on Instagram. You can also go to richardmugica.com for sales, influence, and persuasion in the high ticket space. And you can also go to the onwardmenpodcast.com for every manly episode of this podcast. All right, guys. Dominate. We're out. Peace.